So you guys know when you have a best friend and you just basically get friend zoned by them? I just realized that has happened to me so many times during, my life, during school. So there was this girl who I used to be really good friends with in my 8th grade year. So during 8th grade I was really good friends with this one girl. And we met probably 2-3 weeks maybe into the 8th grade school year, and that's because she was in my English class and also my science class, and we are not science, in my social studies class. Now we didn't even talk during social studies, it was only during English. So during my English class, the first like 3 weeks or so, she sat behind me. The person sat next to her was one of my best friends, so I would always turn around and talk to him, and she would just be there, listening, laughing at our, insults to each other, basically roasting each other. So then my teacher actually just decided that, she was tired of me turning around and talking to my friend, so she would put me in the back of the classroom so I couldn't turn around and talk to anyone. But that is when I actually started talking to the girl who would basically become my best friend during my 8th grade year. So she decided to put me in the back, and she had it going, a girl, it was like, it's either the girl who I liked, who's like my best friend, another girl who I liked and also was like a really good friend of mine, then the empty seat, and then me. So it was those two, empty seat and me, and I made them laugh the whole entire time I sat next to them, just because of my weird funny comments, drawing smiley faces on my arm or leg because I was really bored. But so during that time when we sat next to each other, her and I became such good friends. We would talk all the time, outside of school and inside of school. We would always talk. Now, during this time when her and I started becoming really good friends, talking all the time, it never came across my mind that, hey, I might like this girl, I might want to ask her out. I was just too focused and busy on being a good friend with her, and just having a good time talking to her, texting her all the time. So it didn't even cross my mind that I might have feelings for her or might like her. But the girl who actually sat next to her, I did have a crush on, and she actually knew that I had a crush on. Not the girl who I got friend zoned by. My best friend knew I had a crush on this girl, so she knew, I didn't have any feelings for her or whatever. We're just good friends, and I knew who she liked, so we knew who each other liked, and we were just, that was our friendship. Like, when you trust someone that much to tell that person who you like, that was our level of friendship. But so later on down the school year, I started, somewhat getting feelings for this girl because we talked every single day. We were such best friends. So I tried asking her, saying, hey, do you want to go to the movies with me? You, me, and a few other people, not trying to just be her and I, but, a group of people to have fun. And over and over, she would decline the invitation. So one day we were texting each other, I remember, and I don't know how this came up or how it happened, but I remember I told her that I liked her, but I didn't want to date her for some reason. For whenever I say, hey, I like you, but I don't want to date you, I don't know why I think that's a good thing. Why I always say that if I ever liked a girl back then, I would always say, I like you, but I don't want to date you. Because I always feel like it would be weird of me saying, hey, I like you. But, so I told her that I liked her, and that was the last text message that we sent to each other that night. And I was very awkward, like, oh shit, I just messed up again. And the next day, going into school, like, so many people knew I, like, asked her out, and she basically said no. And this is, like, the worst thing when it's your best friend, and you get friend zoned by your best friend. You get stuck in that friend zone. But so I asked her out, and everyone knew, and it just became really awkward. My 7th and 8th hour class I had with her even was more awkward. That my best friend was trying to get me to talk to her. I wouldn't talk to her whatsoever. So he kept bugging me, trying to say, hey, go talk to her, because her and I sat right across from each other. Now, it was on the opposite side of the room, but we sat right across from each other, and I would not look up. I would not talk to her whatsoever, and whenever I did look up, we would lock eyes. We would always look at each other, and that was probably like the most awkward moment ever, is when you get friend zoned by your best friend, and you have to sit literally across from her, and whenever you look up, you look at her and she'll be looking at you. That was probably one of the most awkward moments of my life. I just while talking about that, that's not the only time that has happened when I have looked up and looked across the room to see someone who I had a crush on looking right back at me, and made it extremely awkward. But so I wouldn't look up, I wouldn't talk to her at all. I would just ignore her, like, yeah, whatever, I don't give a shit, like something like that. And at the end of the day, her and I usually would like always walk out together and talk to each other while she headed home and I headed to the bus. So we had our lockers right next to each other. I remember that day that, you know, walking out of the classroom, I just want to get my shit out of my locker and head home. So, well, as I get to my locker, she's right behind me and she looks at me, and she's with one of her friends that she's not really paying attention to or talking to. She's just looking at me, trying to talk to me, and the first thing I remember coming out of her mouth was if I was mad at her. And at the time, I was mad at her because I was like, not again, I got friendzoned again. This friendship is going to be over like all the other ones had happened. But I said, no, I'm not mad at you whatsoever. I'm mad at my best friend who kept bugging me and saying, hey, look up, try to talk to her, say something to her, she wants to talk to you, stuff like that. Now, I do wish I would have looked up instead and just looked at her and been like, it's fine, I'm cool, it's not a big deal, stuff like that. Because since I didn't do that and the kid next to me kept trying to tell me to look up at her, it got the teacher really upset because we were talking, and she asked, you know, what's the big deal? And I instantly said nothing, and it was just one of those moments where I was like, I wish I could go back and change it. And I do also wish that her and I were really good friends, but just so you guys know, that wasn't the end of our friendship right there. After, you know, things became awkward that night after the locker incident, that night we talked again and we were best friends leading up to her departure of the state and moving away, which I wish she didn't move away because, like I said, she was my best friend, and it was, yeah, I just remember all these great memories with her. But that is it, you guys. People have been friend-zoned a lot. Sometimes it sucks, most of the time it sucks, but usually, you know, you're still friends with that person, but it is a little awkward. But unfortunately for me, this was like the only girl who found out I liked her, who stayed friends with me. All the other girls who I got friend zoned by or found out I liked them, they never talked to me again. But luckily this girl was chill and she actually still continued talking to me. But that is the story, you guys. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic day. I do have an update on the plagiarism paper, so that will be Tuesday, I believe. But this has been Def. I'll see you guys later. Peace.